These are the 1.5 Part 1 video notes. So we're going to talk about understanding angles. So first off, an angle is a set of points consisting of two different rays that have the same endpoint called a vertex, and the rays are the sides of the angle. So here's one ray, and that makes an angle. The vertex is where the two rays meet, so A would be the vertex. So you can name an angle by its vertex. You can call it angle A. You could using a point on each ray and the common endpoint, so C to A to B, or B to A to C. So angle CAB, angle BAC. Notice that A is in the middle. A is the vertex and A has to be in the middle. You can also call it by the number all by itself. So using a number on the inside, this is called angle 1. Also notice that we're using the symbol angle. Right there, that's this angle symbol. This is the symbol for angle. So when we measure an angle, the measure of an angle AOB, which can be written as M angle AOB, M stands for measure. This is the angle symbol, and then these are the three letters that form that angle. The middle one is the vertex, is equal to the absolute value of the distance between the real numbers matched with OA and OB on a protractor. So if I'm looking right here, this is a protractor, and you can see, you can read a protractor in two different ways. Here it starts from 0, and then it builds going this way all the way to 180 degrees, which is a straight line. But you can also notice that it starts from 0 here, and you can read it going the opposite direction. So it depends on which way the flat line is as to where you want to start. So because my flat line is going this way, I'm going to start at 0 here, and we're going to figure out how many degrees this whole angle is. So we're here at 0, and we're going to move all the way this way. So now I just hit 90 degrees, which is a straight angle, and now I'm going to keep going, and hit all the way to I hit here. Now if you look, my line is right here at the 140/40 mark. I want to choose 140 because remember I started at 0 over here, and then we went up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. So you can see down here, M stands for measure of angle, AOB. O is the vertex, which is right here. Here's A, so it goes from A to the vertex to B. It's 140 degrees. Remember, anything bigger than 90 degrees is obtuse, and that has to be, and you can see this is an obtuse angle. It's bigger than 90 degrees, so your answer should be bigger than 90 degrees. So let's try and name this angle in 4 different ways. So my first way, I can do just the angle by itself, angle H. So you can do angle H. Remember, you can't just put H. You got to put the symbol in front of it, otherwise we don't know what you're talking about. The second way is by the number by itself, so angle 2. The third way is by doing 3 letters, G to H to F. H has to be in the middle because H is the vertex, so angle GHF. And the last way is going backwards. You could say angle FHG. So start over here and go to the angle and then go to the G level. So number 2, it says a lighthouse keeper measures 3 angles made by the lighthouse point M. So my lighthouse is right here on the vertex. See how it's the corner? That's the vertex. And 3 boats. So first thing I got to do, I got to highlight or shade angle MJK in red. So JMK, start at J, go to M, go to K. This in here is the angle. Now it says highlight or shade angle LMK, and in blue. So L to M to K. This is the angle inside. So that's that angle. It says, how many angles do you see with vertex M? Name the third angle not named. So one angle is angle JMK, this red angle. Second angle is angle LMK, this blue angle. The third angle is the big angle. I could start at J, go to M, and go out to L. So JML. So we write angle JML. You could write it backwards as angle LMJ. Both are acceptable. All right, so now we're going to talk about different types of angles. An acute angle measures greater than 0 and less than 90 degrees. So here's an acute angle. It's smaller than 90 degrees. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. So in this picture, I know it's 90 degrees because of that little square in the corner. This is the right angle symbol. Obtuse angle are angles that measure greater than 90 and less than 180. So obtuse, they're bigger than 90. A straight angle measures 180 degrees. So anything that's a straight line will always measure 180 degrees because 180 degrees is a half circle. So if you can form that half circle, now you've got a straight angle. So I got to say, what is the measure of angle AOB? So it gives me the angle over here. This is just like what we showed you earlier. So angle AOB, we started at 0, we went up, 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 and we stopped at 40 again. So once again, the measure of angle AOB is 140 degrees. Now we're going to go through, and you can see there's a bunch of angles in this next one. So I got to find angle GHK. GHK. So here's G to H to K. So I want this whole angle, the big one. So I see that's flat here, so I start at the 0, and I count up to that angle over there. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. So we know it's 120. We just got to look a little bit closer to see where that line is. So it's between 120 and 130, and it's right in between. You can count. Here's 121, 122, 123, 124. Here's 125. So we go over here, find the measure of each angle. So the measure of angle, GHK, is equal to 125 degrees. And it says classify it. So if it's 125 degrees, that is what we call an obtuse angle. Okay, now I got to find the angle, measure of angle JHL. So J to H to L, straight up. All right. So start at 0 because that's where it starts. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So it ends at 90 degrees. It's a right angle. So the measure of angle JHL equals 90 degrees, and we call that a right angle. Measure of angle LHK. So I go from L to H to K, so I want this angle in here. Okay, so it's not on one of the flat surfaces over here. So we just got to count between them then. All right, so we are at 90. That's 10, 20, 30, and then we had 5 more, so it's 35 degrees. Okay, so it's 10, 20, 30 plus 5 more is 35. So the measure of angle LHK equals 35 degrees. And because it's less than 35 degrees, it is an acute angle. Okay, now I gotta go GHJ. So I go from G to H to J. Notice that's a straight line. Straight lines are always 180 degrees. And we call that a straight angle. Okay, so now we're going to talk about angles. So we got congruent angles. 2 angles are congruent if they have the same measure. So if this angle and this angle have the same measure, they're congruent. And then this is the symbol for congruent. Remember, congruent means it's the same measure. So if this one is 35 degrees, that means this angle is also 35 degrees. We say angle ABC is congruent to angle XYZ. Adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are two angles that share a common vertex and side but have no interior points. So here's my common vertex, here's the common side. These two angles are adjacent, means next to each other. Next to each other. Next to. Okay? So 5 and 6 are adjacent because they're right next to each other. They share a side, a length, a ray, a line, whatever you have, you share it. These two are not adjacent. We call them non-adjacent because they're not even touching. They don't share one side, so they're not adjacent. Identify the congruent angles using a congruent statement. So congruent angles. Remember, when I'm looking at tick marks, this and this mean they're congruent because they both have 2 tick marks. So if this one's 30, that means this guy is also 30 degrees too. So I can say angle BAC is congruent to angle EAF. All right, so now I know this angle right here with the pink. See how it's got one little tick mark through it? Those two are congruent. These are actually called vertical angles when they're across from each other like that. So BAN, angle BAN, make sure you always use those angle marks, is congruent to angle over here, DAE. Okay, so now we also have these green ones, the green marks with 1. So we have BAD is congruent to NAF. So CAD is congruent to angle NAF. There are some other ones as well. So we know this one's 95 degrees and this one's 55 degrees. Now if you look at it in a bigger picture, CAN is this all put together. And that equals 125 degrees because 95 and 30 is 125. But if you notice, these two angles also are the 95 and the 30 put together. So these angles are also going to be congruent to each other. So I get angle CAN is congruent to angle DAF. Okay, you could also do it this way. BAF, 95 and the 55. These guys are also congruent because they're both 95 and 55. So our last one will be angle BAF is congruent to angle CAE. All right, it says, if angle BAC is 30 degrees, what is angle EAF? So BAC is this angle in here is 30 degrees. So what is EAF? EAF will also be 30 degrees because they are congruent to each other. Measure of angle EAF equals 30 degrees. We call those vertical angles when they're across from each other like that. Okay, so if NAB is 95, what angle is also 95? The one across from it, the one vertical to it, is angle DAE. So angle DAE is also 95 degrees. Name 2 adjacent angles to CAD. So let's find CAD. CAD is right here. Remember, adjacent just means next to. They have to have one line or ray that they share. So one angle that's next to it is DAE. These two are next to each other. So name 2 adjacent angles to CAD. So angle DAE and angle. You notice over here, this angle is also next to it on the other side. So BAC. All right, so now it says name an adjacent angle to NAF that share AF. So angle NAF is right here. And it says that they share ray AF. AF is right here. So if they share this ray, that means this angle right here would be the adjacent angle we're talking of, because this angle over here, it does not share ray AF, and we want to share ray F. So angle EAF is the one that shares AF.